People in this part of the world, developing countries, big problem because it affects the rainfall patterns that we have. And developing countries are largely dependent on agriculture. So to think about that, it means that we are also facing some other challenges of food security, because if you don't have good rains, or if the rains don't come at the right time, or if they come in some form that you don't expect, that means that we are going to suffer in so many other ways. But we also have to think about that in the context of the different groups of people that we have in the society. So individually, we can fail it in different ways, but we can fail it differently also because of who we are. Whether we are men, women, children, the impacts can be different on us.
Right.
And we have to be able to pay attention to all these segments of the society. And I'm very particular also about how we need to pay attention to people who do not have that mandate as we have today, the youth and even the unborn.
Right.
So what we have to do is, we don't have to take it for granted that climate change issues are our bona fide rights. So we can do anything and get away with it. The people who are yet to be born, so clearly it's a big matter. Fortunately, we are working on that together.
So climate change has been that issue that a lot of, towards renewable sources of energy, green energy, the use of electric cars, and all of these interventions, that are being put, of climate change, or slow it down at least, or get.
Global community has decided to come together to take certain steps that can lead to,
and all of these things that have been put in place. From where you sit, are we making progress, or is the world making progress in that regard? Even before narrowing it down to what we're even doing here in our own country, on that global stage, with the COP conferences and all of that, are we making progress? With the US president threatening to pull out of the Paris Agreement, even pulling out of it, and all of that.
Yeah. No, even from the start, the fact that the global community could even say, let's come together, let's acknowledge that we face a problem, let's see how we can solve that, is for me one step of the global. And then they set out the plan for every country, every member of the Conference of Parties, to see how they can work on that so that we can all achieve that. So at that point too, the fact that you engage people gives room for you to share ideas about what is happening. And the fact that we also have a lot of people who have different levels of expertise and that they can share with others as such fora is something that we can all say is a way forward, a way that we can use to help us address the challenge. So yes, in principle, we are doing well. What we are probably failing to achieve is the pace at which we are going. Right. We're probably not moving fast enough to be able to prevent what people may say about climate change as something that may not be true. It may just not be something that is based on the science. Remember that we have almost every top scientist who are members of what we call the IPC to now put us on course in addressing climate change problems in the country, the National Climate Change Policy, and even the...
Yes, we've seen, some administration implement, a few policies here and there, talk about, trying to do things in a more sustainable manner, trying to maybe get on board or explore new ways of energy, maybe solar energy, right. Maybe encourage the use of electric vehicles, and all of that. So, policy-wise, we've seen some.
Yet, we are not able to bring them to book, which is another level of the problem we have. Are we the people who are too much of? We don't respect nature. We don't respect the Constitution, or the leadership may not be strong enough in making sure that people go by the laws of the country, which is the problem. So these are some of the issues that we can have in the country. In the end, what do? We have to continue to reflect on these policy documents. Where have we gone wrong? How can we do better? And as you indicated in your introduction, you see that climate change, we're working with that. Part of the trouble is now no longer that we don't have the policies. It's how do we synergize these policies to be able to bring about the necessary impact. And that, for me,
issues that have got to do with climate change. There's a Minister for Lands and Natural Resources. There are climate change issues there that you need to deal with. There's a Minister, for environment, science, technology, and all of that. So it sends a certain signal that perhaps this government is taking the issues of climate change seriously. So in terms of proper policy formulation and shaping, which will have that correspondent effect in terms of the policy formulation process, right, and the things that should be looked at, how should the coordination be, between these ministries, and what kinds
that you are raising the level, the salience to a top level, so that people can see that climate change in Ghana is no longer like any other thing. So that's one. Climate change in Ghana is no longer like any other thing. So that's one point. How then do we coordinate these ministries, departments, and agencies and address this problem? How on reading the literature, following what is happening, and being in that